Are you having fun in your business? I mean, it should be fun, right? Well, sometimes the fun gets overlooked when you're dealing with the have-tos, the complexities of being your own boss and actually running the show. It's my goal that this, the Fun Business, Fun Money podcast, can help reignite your spark of fun by providing tips, tools, insights, and inspiration so you can enjoy running your business in the simplest, easiest, most fun way possible. I'll be sharing practical tips and ideas that you can implement immediately, along with business and money mindset insights to keep you moving forward no matter what's going on around you. I'm your host, Deirdre Amies, the Fun Business and Money Coach and founder of Powered by Personality. Let's play. Hey there, and welcome to the Fun Business, Fun Money podcast. If you've been here for a bit, I just want to say how much I appreciate you. I love your DMs, your emails, and your social media shares, telling other people about this podcast. That means the absolute world to me because even though I record these episodes by myself, in my mind, I'm talking to you. So to have you respond in some way makes it feels like this really is a conversation, and I love that. If you're just new to the podcast, hey, hello, and welcome. I love hearing from new people, so don't be shy. And I hope you enjoy binging on all the previous episodes because there's some truly useful and fun stuff there about business, money, and life in general. Now, it may seem like I've been talking about money a lot lately, and I'm not about to change that theme in a hurry. That may be a little bit annoying for some, but it's a theme that needs repeating over and over and over. We have spent centuries suppressing the conversation around money, and it's long overdue that it came out into the light. Talking about money on this podcast, on social media, in emails, with clients, that's all part of changing the narrative that money should only be discussed behind closed doors, in hushed tones, or on a piece of paper slid across the desk. Have you noticed that in books and movies? They don't say the number out loud. They'll be having this full-on discussion about a deal or a contract, but when it comes to the money part, they whip out a pen and paper, jot it down, and slide it on over. And the other person just glances at it, like not giving it a lot of attention. They look back at their negotiating partner and they continue on. It's wild. Just say the number out loud already. We need to normalize talking about money. Anyway, that's not the topic for today, which is boundaries and how they're actually your friend, although it is kind of related. That whole we don't talk about money belief is actually a rock-solid boundary. It's been culturally enforced for so long that we just accept it, and it's morphed into a full-on money block for pretty much everybody. But that's also our downfall. Most of us have no idea how to talk about money. We don't know how to close the deal. We don't know how to make the offer or stand up for what we're worth because there's all this weirdness about money. Now, that weirdness around money is what we work on and release in my Sacred Money Archetypes group program, which is always available as a standalone course. But I'm also running it as a live group program with weekly Zoom Q&A calls beginning Wednesday, 12th of April, 2023. So not long to go. I would love for you to join us. There are people who have done it before, as well as new participants, people with very different money archetypes and personalities, different backgrounds, and different income levels. This program can turn your relationship with money from something that feels weird and awkward into something that you treat like your financial BFF, your best friend forever. Because guess what? You're going to have a longer relationship with money than you will with any other person or thing on the planet. So let's make it a good one, shall we? You'll find the link with all the info about the program in the description and in the show notes. Or you can send me a DM. I'm at Fun Business Fun Money on Facebook or Instagram. Or if you prefer email, hello@deirdreamies.com, and I will send you the link and all the information. So talking about money is where boundaries become super important. Instead of using them to keep this conversation about money neatly corralled away, we need to be using boundaries to bring the conversation into a cohesive thing that includes money. Now, if you're the kind of person who hates getting on a call to discuss working with someone because you don't yet know the price, that's a boundary that you've created around money. You don't want to feel uncomfortable in the moment. So you might refuse to book the call and find out that it's actually completely affordable. It's exactly what you need. And the call itself is actually about checking the vibe between the two of you. You're making it about the money when it's not about the money at all. Now, hearing that might make you squirm a little, like I'm somehow inside your head observing your thought process. But I promise I'm not, because that would be totally weird. It's simply a common trait for some money archetypes. Understanding that resistance and discomfort about not knowing everything up front, that makes choosing a different boundary around money easy and powerful. And on the flip side, some money archetypes have very different boundaries about money, to the point that setting your prices is a super stressful process that you'd rather avoid. You pick a number, you feel icky about it, you'll heavily discount it, and then add on a bunch of bonuses to make up for charging so much when it's really not much at all. Don't worry, I've been in both of those camps. I've refused to book a call to find out the investment, because if I don't know, then I don't have to do it, right? And I'm also the one who launched my very first coaching offer at a ridiculously low cost with a 50% discount and still felt icky about charging for it. All because I didn't understand my money personality or how I was treating money in general. So if you don't yet know your money archetypes, go take my super fun online quiz. You'll find the link in the description of each and every episode and in the show notes. It'll take you about 5 minutes to complete, and you'll get a full outline of your top money archetype, as well as your scores across all 8 of them. It's packed with fun and interesting insights on money, and you'll be able to spot how your boundaries are showing up. And even now, with all the knowledge and money mindset about how money archetypes work, I still catch myself falling into old habits, like wanting to rescue somebody by giving them my course or coaching them for free. I know I'm not the only one who does that. Hello, all you nurturer, alchemist, and connector archetypes out there. So what I've got for you today is some insights to help you recognize 4 different types of boundaries. And I've got 4 ways that you can utilize boundaries in your business so that you can feel like the empowered leader that you really are. Boundaries are your friend. Now, there are 4 types of boundaries, and depending on the situation, you may have different ones at different times, which is why it's important to be aware of them. The first one is soft boundaries. If you've got soft boundaries, you'll tend to merge with other people's boundaries and just go with the flow. That means that you probably don't have a really clear sense of your own boundaries, which is what you will and won't put up with. So You can end up being easily manipulated by others. I know that is not nice to hear, that you've possibly been manipulated, but it is what it is. Some people will take advantage of soft boundaries, whether they intend to or not. When you've got soft boundaries, you don't tend to voice your opinion in case you're not liked or loved, or you don't want to offend someone. So you just go along with whatever the other person wants. Remember those peer pressure situations in school and even in the workplace? That stuff. I'm sure we've all experienced this at some point. It doesn't feel good. And if it goes on for too long, it's easy to lose our own sense of worth and direction. The next one is rigid boundaries, which is at the complete opposite end of the scale to soft boundaries. It's usually someone who's closed off and has walls up, so no one can get close to them personally or emotionally. And they're often this way because of a bad previous experience in a similar situation. So they're very wary of allowing that to happen again. In some situations, this is completely appropriate. If you're a woman who has ever walked home in the dark, you'll have had rigid boundaries in place. You're on high alert for any danger to your personal safety. But living your whole life in this way, that's not fun. It's not fun for others to be around long term, and it certainly doesn't feel easy or free for you. The third one is spongy boundaries. I always think of SpongeBob SquarePants, of course. This is a combination of soft and rigid boundaries. It often shows up when you're unsure of what to let in and what to keep out. So a person can seem to be really inconsistent and they're flip-flopping from one end of the scale to the other. One minute they're doing this, then they're doing the complete opposite. It can almost come across as if they don't trust themselves. So they're all over the place trying to figure it out. They can be rigid when it doesn't serve them, or soft when that doesn't serve them either. And the last one, number 4, is flexible boundaries. And this is the sweet spot, in my view. When you have flexible boundaries, you have a lot more control over your life. And it doesn't mean that you're a controlling type that pisses other people off. It means you're someone who can decide what to let in and what to keep out. You know what you want and what you don't want. You can spot the emotional pressures and the manipulation a mile away and resist it without any effort at all. It can be really difficult to exploit someone who is this self-aware, which is a very good thing. You're not going to fall for the latest scams, even if they're brand new, because your spidey sense is finely tuned. So that's the 4 common types of boundaries: soft, rigid, spongy, and flexible. Ideally, we would have all grown up with this level of amazing self-awareness and we would all have beautiful, flexible boundaries. But as we know, nothing is ideal or perfect, so we've got to work on it. The reason these boundaries are important is because it helps us eliminate excuses. We can respect our own value and honour our strengths, which are so important. And you're probably wondering how on earth you're supposed to make boundaries your friends if you're keeping things out and letting things in, and it's all too much sometimes. Well, it starts with knowing where you're at and being clear on what you're willing to do or tolerate and what you're not willing to do or tolerate. Holding your boundaries, if you look at it like a gift to yourself, and it's also a gift to the people around you, your family, your clients, your customers, literally everyone. Here's a gift of my boundaries. And this is particularly useful if you have soft boundaries, as I described earlier. You're going to come up against people who want more, no matter how much you're offering or giving. And this is really common with nurturer archetypes. Families are often the very people who feel like you don't need boundaries. They don't exist. We're your people. I've had to reinforce my boundaries on countless occasions over the years. Just because I work at home doesn't mean that our house is going to be spotlessly clean, the laundry's not going to be all done, and dinner cooked every night. If I'm having a particularly big energy output day with client calls and I'm also in the creative flow, maybe I'm up against a deadline, none of that stuff is getting done. I've trained my family to fend for themselves, with love, of course, and they're all more than capable of doing those things to help out and pick up the slack. It's all swings and roundabouts. I'm there for them when they need it too. And that right there is an example of flexible boundaries. Everyone knows the score, we support each other, and we step up as and when needed. We also need to implement appropriate boundaries in our business. Some of you will be service providers, others have product-based businesses, but you'll have that element of customer service. So these tips on boundaries apply for pretty much all of us. There will always be people who want more than what you've outlined in your offers. There will be clients who show up with an expectation to cover 5 big things on a 30-minute call. They'll ignore boundaries on how or when to contact you, expecting an immediate response, even though you're in a different time zone. Or maybe you don't check messages on weekends. They'll use blaming language to shift responsibility and say that you're not available when they need you. And they'll complain about what didn't get done in their expected time frame. I can assure you, these are not your people. If you've got clients like this and you're exhausted just thinking about your next interaction with them, or you're dreading Monday because of them, it's safe for you to let them go. Even if they're your main or only source of income right now, you can bring in stronger boundaries around your time, energy, expertise, and your money to help you feel so much better about working with them or ending that working relationship altogether. And this is also one of the downsides of low-cost offers. People who pay the least usually expect the most. They want VIP service for their $8 investment. Not happening. There's a very different energy around high performers who come with a big list of topics, but there's no expectation to cover it all. They're usually open to working on things over time, knowing that they have you to support them. They know it's unreasonable to expect everything will be fixed right now with a wave of your seemingly magic wand. And that's the power of premium offers. That higher price tag attracts the right people, the ones who appreciate your boundaries, and they'll respect them because you're giving them permission to have their own boundaries. You're leading the way. Your job as a leader in your own business and your life is to create an energy of expansion. You can create space and hold your ground with grace and ease. I love grace and ease so much. And you can do this because you've got clear boundaries and standards. You don't have to take on anyone else's lack of worthiness and try to fix their situation for them. So I want to share some strategies that you can implement to support your boundaries in your business because this affects how you make your money. There's no better feeling than having clear boundaries around that time, energy, and expertise and having the results of that show up in your bank account. There are 4 key strategies. I had loads more of them, but I've pared the list down so that we're not here all day. I want you to take note and go and implement, not just listen to me talk about them. So the 4 strategies. The first one is to start with clear expectations. Be crystal clear on what your offer or package includes. You can be generous and giving and full of love without being over the top. Now, as an example, my one-to-one private coaching Ignite package includes a certain number of calls, plus some emergency calls. I have a suggested outline for the topics that we're going to cover during our time together, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, or a year. We go into more detail depending on the length of time. I'm clear about how you should communicate with me and that my availability is based on my time zone, not yours. So you also need to be clear about the bonuses that you're giving. People will expect more, and it's your job to communicate what's involved for the price that you're asking for your work. The second one is to train your clients to prioritize. It's so important to have respect for yourself and respect for the other person. And boundaries are a sign of respect. So you can ask something like, of all the things on your list, what is the number one thing that's most important for us to sort out right now? That's it. It's that simple. So as a coach, I show up fully in my power to support and guide you, but it's not my job to tell you what's important to you. So your clients will quickly get a hold of the idea when you ask them what they need right now. You can do that in your very first introductory call. You should do it on every call, in every interaction that you have with them. You're checking in with them and what their priorities are every single time. You're basically asking, how can I help you? You're setting a standard and upholding your boundary for only working on the biggest priority instead of all the things and doing a half-assed job. The next one is to call out the behavior patterns. There will always be a client who keeps bringing more and more to your sessions. Like I said before, you don't have to take it on board, but you do need to call it out as a recurring pattern of behavior. It's not about having a power struggle between you and your client. You can simply say that you're noticing that they keep wanting to add more and more, and ask them, what is that about? What's going on in your life or business? Often it's a sign of their own self-worth and a need to over-deliver. They may have soft boundaries themselves and feel pulled in all directions. It could also be a sign of neurodiversity. They're struggling to stay on one theme because they've got 1,000 other ideas whizzing around in their head. Whatever it is, it's not about you. They're not doing it to annoy you. So just call it out with love and have that conversation so that you can both understand and see a way that you can work with each other and achieve the desired results. And number 4 is stay in your yes energy. I love this concept of yes energy. It's not about being a doormat who says yes to everything, even if you don't want to. That's not cool. It always amuses me when I hear about people doing a year of yes, with their overall goal being not saying no. It's a great concept, but as an introvert, I value my energetic boundaries and not burning myself out far more than I value saying yes to everything. Yes energy is about giving and receiving within the scope of the boundaries and the standards that you set for yourself. I'm going to say that again. Yes energy is about giving and receiving within the scope of the boundaries and standards that you set for yourself. This helps you to serve at your highest level, and your clients are going to operate at their highest level because of your beautiful boundaries and standards. Everyone feels seen and heard. There's a mutual respect. And that's one of my favorite things about being my own boss, because everyone is seen and heard. So there you go, 4 types of boundaries and 4 ways that you can hold them in your business. That is a lot of info that I've thrown at you today. This is probably the longest episode ever. So let me just quickly recap them for you. The 4 common types of boundaries are soft, rigid, spongy, and flexible. And I reckon flexible is the sweet spot. Hashtag just saying. And the 4 strategies that you can use to make boundaries your friend in your business. Number 1 is to start with clear expectations. Be crystal clear about what's included and what's not. Number 2, train your clients to prioritize. Model the leadership of focusing on the one thing that is most important right now, not just the latest shiny thing that's caught their eye. Number 3, call out behavior patterns. You can bring attention to issues with love, so you can discover what's really going on under the surface and help them in a more effective way. And number 4, stay in your yes energy. Don't be a doormat. You can give and receive within the scope of your boundaries and standards so that everyone feels seen, heard, and respected. Of course, it's always easier to feel empowered with new boundaries and higher standards in your life and your business when you've got someone guiding and supporting you. And that's absolutely something that I can help you with. Go take that money archetypes quiz so you have a better understanding of the type of boundaries that you want and need around money. And check out the Sacred Money Archetypes program. Come and join the fun of working on your relationship with money in the live calls, which start on Wednesday, the 12th of April, 2023. You'll find the links to those in the description and in the show notes. Send me a DM. I'm at Fun Business Fun Money on both Facebook and Instagram. Or send an email to hello@deirdreamies.com, which is also linked in the description and show notes. That's what I've got for you today. A bit longer than usual, I'm sure, but super important to talk about because boundaries really are your friend. They're not a gigantic wall to keep people out. Take care, have fun playing with your boundaries and seeing the magic that you can create with them. And I'll catch you in the next episode. Thanks for joining me. If you found this episode useful, make sure you hit that follow button on your chosen podcast platform so you get the notifications when each new episode goes live and you don't miss anything. If you know someone who would also get something from it, don't be shy, share it with them. One of the best things about being a business coach for online entrepreneurs is helping them make sense of their creative ideas and turn them into a simple, clear business system that actually makes money. A client recently described me as a castle building expert. You've got the big vision and some of the building materials already, but you don't quite know how to bring it all together into a solid foundation. Then I come along and I show you the blueprint that makes sense of it all. I love that analogy. And I'd love to show you your personalized blueprint, the one that's just right for you and your clients. But I can't do that until you join Ignite, my business and money coaching program. So head on over to deirdreamies.com/ignite for all the details. Fill out the application form and let's talk about building your castle in the simplest, easiest way possible.